again, Tactical. It's Tuesday. Welcome back to the stream. I am back as of last night from the 8TC. Hopefully you enjoyed my coverage of the event. I'm going to turn my microphone up here a little bit. Hopefully that sounds okay, everybody. It looks like my settings are a little messed up from the trip. Yeah, I streamed the 8TC, 8 with an 8, not A with an A. All weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage. It was super fun. What a phenomenal event that was. But we're back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting right now. If you did enjoy it, just a reminder, I am going to be live with the Ides of March. Ides. Every time I type it, I had to keep typing ideas of March. The Ides of March. Which is going to be the weekend after this coming weekend. So that is the weekend of the 16th and 17th of March. I will be live all weekend with that. It's a 50-player 40k GT. Should be pretty fun. The setting is amazing. The Samoset Resort in Rockport, Maine. Oh my god. Hopefully get some nice views over the weekend because it looks incredible. What's up, everybody? How's it going? For whatever reason, my chat literally just updated with everybody's messages. I'm sorry, everyone, if I didn't hear what you were saying. Super quiet audio. Is it better now? Now that I turned it up a little bit, I can mess with it if I need to. This is the downside of breaking everything down to run over to Tennessee for the weekend. Where's Inky? Yeah, she's not online right now. I do have my Inky cam ready to go, so if Inky does deign to grace us with her presence, then we can hang out with Inky for a bit. But she was like so lonely over the weekend. Literally, as I was walking back in, like I have like a set of outer doors outside my house, and as I was walking back in, I unlocked those first, and she had already started screaming. As it started. Started crying, and then she would not let me alone all last night. I was like trying to like tidy up my house and go to bed, and I was just like, Inky, no, what are you doing? And she's like just glued to me the entire time. What an absolute cutie pie. See, Papa Nurgle visited me. No, not really. Not got any con cred or anything, so it's all good. All right. Thanks everybody for saying hi to my cat. I will. Let's talk about some freaking 40k stuff. So I don't have anything really especially prepared for today. Basically, I figured we would just go through some lists, some tournament lists. I think that I should probably set the search parameters a little bit better, but we had a huge weekend. If you watched my video yesterday, holy crap, was this weekend absolutely ludicrously enormous. We had the South Coast Super Major and Clutch City GT, both of which went down this week, plus tons and tons of other large events as well, at least GT or GT sort of plus level events. There's 8TC, that was what I was streaming, but that's a team event, so we don't have to talk about that. But yeah, just like ridiculous numbers of amounts of lists. And the cool thing is that even with the breadth of results that we were looking at, we saw good results from almost every faction. Obviously, not every single faction. We didn't see every faction go undefeated, but on the flip side, I actually think it would have been mathematically impossible, basically, for every faction to go undefeated. We don't have quite that many undefeated lists quite yet, but we're getting there slowly but surely. We're gonna get to the point where we have a pretty broad spectrum of lists that can do well competitively, which is amazing. Let the cat out of your house, but you don't own a cat. Yeah, just decided to move into your place. All right, so I figure what we'll do is we'll probably just dive into some of these larger events and start talking about some lists. If anybody has any lists that they are particularly interested in jumping into, any factions that we want to start with, go ahead and hit me up. But I think we're just going to start going down the X and ones for interesting factions. Ed Watts over here with Grey Knights at South Coast Super Major in second place, which is pretty impressive. And we watched some amazing Grey Knights over the weekend. Now, we didn't quite catch them on stream, but we got them just off camera. Some really good Grey Knight play. The Nemesis Dread Knight changes seems like is really transformative to the faction, and they're actually I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the case for across the whole metagame, but they're acting as a little bit of a foil for Adeptus Custodes, where those heavy Psy Cannons are actually a really good profile at shooting at Custodian infantry, and Custodes don't have like an amazing way to interact with the Grey Knight, with the Nemesis Dread Knights. They're not super good at shooting at them unless they bring Caladius Grav tanks, and they have a tough time catching them because Custodes tend to be relatively slow. Like, they can advance and charge with their Blade Champions once, and they have a little bit of uppy downies and stuff, but Dread Knights just being able to pull out of wherever they are, as long as they don't get engaged, and just jump somewhere else and shoot a bunch of dudes to death is actually, I think, maybe one of the reasons that we're seeing Adeptus Custodes not do quite as well as people are expecting, because people really expected Custodes to just destroy the entire game, and they are been kind of just mediocre, I guess. Running 2 Librarians and a Tech Marine, plus an Inescapable Wrath Grandmaster, so +1 charge, and one of the Librarians has the Sigil to run away. Got hit hard by the 4 baby carrier list. Yeah, I mean, it's good, right? Like, those big cannons, like, that's legit now. Oh boy. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 Terminator squads to jump all the characters into. A strike squad, 2 interceptor squads, triple Nemesis Dread Knights. Yeah, there they are. And we have a Tech Marine even to buff those Nemesis Dread Knights too. So one of them can get +1 to hit every turn, which is kind of nice. Although the timing of that is a little bit weird, because I believe that you have to. I don't think the Brotherhood Terminators have any special considerations to teleport strike, right? So the Brotherhood Terminator or the Brotherhood Tech Marines, I think, just get kind of owned by teleporting the Dread Knights away, which is a little bit unfortunate. The fact that the Space Marine Tech Marine variety has such a weird... Why can't I find his datasheet? This is a Grandmaster's. Has such a weird timing on their... Oh, because they don't have a model, that's why. They have such a weird timing on their ability, unlike the Orc one, where it just happens end of movement. Yeah, it's end of command phase, or in your command phase. So it happens before you bring in Deep Strikers. So if you have teleported any of your Dread Knights, you actually end up losing the buff on them, which is a little bit strange. Same with healing. You can't pull them back to the Tech Marine to heal them, because they're off the table when the healing ability goes down. A little unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, I mean, interesting direction for the faction to go and become kind of just a big stompy walker list rather than the infantry only list that we saw previously post the data slate. Check up on health. A lot of folks from ATC had come down with COVID. I'll get a test, I guess, but I'm A-okay. At least so far. I mean, it's been going on 48 hours. I guess I gotta wait a little bit to see if anything hits me, but so far so good. I guess it probably helps that I wasn't like in the thick of things, right? I was like kind of off to the side, but I'll cross my fingers. Hope I don't get anything from the event. All right, Aeldari, also going X1 at this big one. Legend tells of Dan Bates and how he made Eldar great again and brought Eldar MSU back to where it belonged. All hairless strawberry blonde. Okay, well, good job, Dan Bates, I guess. Running just 2 characters, Spirits here, Yvrain, triple Shadow Specters, triple D-Cannon support weapons, double Swooping Hawks, Troop, Warp Spiders, Wraith Blades, triple Scourges, Mandrakes. Wow. Wraith Blades! I was like, I just glossed directly over that. So we have a spirits here to give them lethals and regenerate them, but we're playing blades, not guard. That's fascinating. Imagine, chat, imagine that your faction's like so strong that even after so many nerfs you can still win, or at least get top 4 at super majors with, or at majors I should say, with Wraith Blades in your list. Let's pull the Wraith Blade data sheet up real quick, because they're definitely not quite the same as a Wraith Guard. There they are. Yeah, so they have a 4+ fight on death, and I guess, what are we swinging today? Axes or swords on these guys? Axes. So they have a 4+ invulnerable save. That's pretty good. But they're only 3 attacks, 2 damage each for 35 points a model, 34, I guess. So, yeah, man, I like they're sort of hard to kill, and they do regenerate. So I guess having a 2+, like T7 2+4 up with regenerating is just good enough to like stand on objectives for a while. Their melee output is really atrocious though. Also, I didn't realize there's like this is how often we look at this data sheet. Look at this amazing, this gorgeous Photoshop work right here for the index. Perfection. Thank you, GW. That's insane. Okay, so yeah, we don't even have, I guess, a Farseer for them, so they're just hanging out by themselves. The 10 Wraith Blades, just chilling. They do get the, you can use like the reactive boost and stuff on them. You can use Phantasm to jump around, so they definitely have synergy within the army. But wow, yeah, I guess we just needed a big brick, and that's the one. Can legit make your list title whatever you want. I mean, yeah, the list title it's not part of the list. Like, nobody cares what they are. Like, literally, this is not a part of the BCP list submission process. They just write this in. The BCP list is just a text box. It's just a big text box. And so he typed that in to copy paste it or put it into the text box. You can just put whatever you want in here. Your BCP list can just be like ASCII or whatever. You don't actually have to make it a legit list. Okay, that's wild. 10 Wraith Blades at X1 at an event is super nuts. I would love to know. I guess, yeah, I don't think this event was streamed actually, so we don't get to see this list in action, but I would love to know what the deal there is with the 10 Wraith Blades. That's super duper cool. Again, means that they need to not have been great at some point. Yeah, basically. Is the title the Necrons are not in the top 8? No. Okay, so we can talk about the title. It's a little bit of a play. So at the Goonhammer Open, Josh Roberts was the winner. 6-0 with Necrons, 500s on his score, by the way, which I didn't realize. That's kind of nuts. I don't know if this necessarily needs to be discussed, but it is something I think it's worth putting out, which is to my knowledge, as far as I'm aware, Josh Roberts is he's the balance guy for the 40k design team. So he's the person writing balance updates, like data slate updates. And I guess on one hand, it's good that he obviously can showcase the fact that he's got the chops to win GTs, right? Because you want somebody who's in tune with the competitive game to be able to do that. On the other hand, it is a little weird that he plays in GTs because there are not any other I would say the vast majority of other game companies do not allow their design teams or in many cases even play testers to play the game competitively. And I don't know if there was any sort of prizes or something. They give away a belt, I think, on I read on Goonhammer, but I don't know if there were any prizes or anything. So there's I don't know if there's anything on the line, but I don't know. It's interesting. Wraithblade's a solid objective holder. Yeah, Fortune with a 4+ invulnerable save definitely makes sense for sure. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I don't. I guess it does make sense that the rest of the list being jumpy, like, you know, jump shoot jump oriented, right? And we're talking about the Aeldari list, by the way. We can go back to that one. Nicholas Willingdale over here. And almost literally everything else in the list is either indirect fire, right? So D-cannons are indirect fire. There are Shroud Runners, which probably just run up and explode. They're mostly forward operators, I imagine, and they can give their lethal hits at once. The Shadow Spectres jump, shoot, jump. The Swooping Hawks are mostly there for secondaries. The troops are probably counterpunch. The Warp Spiders you can fire and fade, and then all the Scourges jump, shoot, jump as well. So the majority of this list is out of line of sight when it's interacting with you, right? Because it's going to move, shoot you, and then move away. So having a big unit that's just a 4+, like a boat of 4+ invulnerable save wounds behind a higher toughness value. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like that. If you're looking for anything in the Eldar Codex that survives like any amount of time, I think Wraithblades are probably the thing. But anyway, yeah. Gives it someone in GW plays Necrons a lot of ammo. I mean, we have to see how it goes. If anything, I think that he was hired before the latest round of updates would have gone live. So the stuff that he's working on, and this is 100% speculation, so I'm not gonna like pretend that I'm an authority here. I believe that the stuff that he's working on has not yet been released or will be in the future. Up until this point, up until this past data slate, it's felt like I don't think it's felt at all like GW has like a Necron bias. I think they have a wild Eldar bias, absolutely ludicrous. And they like basically wear it on their sleeve. And whether we see that continue on in the future will be the question. So I think, like, you know, there is an advantage to be gained by being part of the team and then also playing in competitions, because you are aware of updates before they happen. On the flip side, obviously, that there can also be some changes where there can also be some problems. Like, speaking personally, playing for games that I've playtested for before, where you don't remember exactly what mechanics you're playing with, because in your head a update might be incoming, or you are assuming that you're playing on a past update, and that can confuse you. But it is interesting, I think, to point out that there's this design team member that's like sort of exoing tournaments. I don't know. I think yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting, I guess. I talked about his list on the video yesterday, Chad. He was running Canoptech Court with a bunch of Plasmancers and Technomancers, like a triple Immortals, triple Canoptic Race. It was pretty standard stuff. It wasn't anything particularly exciting. But if you want me to, we don't usually talk about the undefeated stuff on this series, because I do that on my Monday video. So go check out the Monday video if you want me to go over that list. Anytime Necrons are over a 45% win rate, people lose their minds. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Necrons is that, like, they tend to be a really like a very divisive play style, because Necrons are like they're in some instances kind of like the defense skew faction. They tend to have playstyles that are like really annoying, and a lot of it's the reanimation mechanic. Just like GW, I don't think has written a version of the reanimation mechanic that doesn't just make people like viscerally angry. Like destroying units and then watching those units return to full strength is like very demoralizing for people. And I think that it's kind of like how people hate Tau because they have guns, and like dealing with a lot of ranged attacks is really annoying. And they're like, oh, I hate Tau, all they do is shoot me. And you're like, yeah, but they shoot you like 12 inches away. Like, they could shoot you from a million miles away, but then you just beat them on objectives. So they have to be up next to you, and their guns are basically just melee attacks with extra steps. In a lot of instances. And yeah, I think it's kind of the same deal where you're just like, oh, I can never kill a Necron unit because if I shoot them, sometimes they regenerate and they come back, and you're just like, okay. And speaking personally too, that like annoys the hell out of me also. So I'm one of those people. The old Transcendent Catan used to tilt the absolute shit out of me with a 4+ feel no pain on half damage. I was like, this is too busted. Please go away. And then it did, and we got something worse. So yeah, there you go. I think that's why people freak out about Necrons, though. Definitely. Triple Wraiths is not fun to play or play against. Yeah, Canoptic Court, I don't know if I would call Canoptic Court necessarily a major issue, but it's definitely a skew, and you can skew into matchups so that you just can't beat it. This list in particular, I think, is maybe one of the lesser degenerate ones, because it's only running Sarah's, but, I mean, I played on stream against a list recently that had 2 Catan shards. No, I'm sorry, it had 3. It had 3 Catan shards and 18 Wraiths. And you just get to this point where you're skewed into the 4+ invuln, 5+ feel no pain profile to such an extent that like you blank so many damage values in the game. Like anything that's like a high value like multi-damage shot might as well not exist in that matchup. You know, I think your win rate's like very dependent on the matchups that you get. So Canoptic Court definitely, I think, it has less agency than Hypercrypt Legion. Like, it's less of a skill expression, in my opinion, but sometimes you just run into opponents that just physically cannot beat the army and they die. Which seems like, you know, there you go. That's what happened there. Lewis wants to be take a shower. Yeah, for the 5-man Immortals is interesting. Yeah, they're little tiny Immortal squads, which is kind of cool with Cryptex attached. But I mean, when you're shooting at like whatever, you know, 5 Zephyrim or something, you definitely don't need the full 10 to get that kill. You'll get them anyway. There's no break point for reanimation if it's bad, Necrons are unplayable. If it's good, they can't get killed. Yeah, I think that's part of the issue too, as well. A lot of times it's like, well, if you can one-shot a Necron unit, they just disappear, right? Everybody's gone. Goodbye. Whereas if you can't, then they suddenly regenerate, and like the lost value is so much. I think it's, I don't know. I think there are better ways that to implement the mechanic. Definitely not as simple as they have it right now. And I actually think reanimation's not quite as dumb right now as it was in the past. But like being able to one-shot 20 warriors was like such a huge thing in last edition against Silvertide, where like their whole thing was reactively reanimating like 1,000 models back every single time you attacked them. And if you could one-shot the unit, you didn't have to deal with any of that, and their survivability was like cut in like by 60% or something. And it's just, you know, the way the faction's designed is just kind of like toxic, I guess, for both sides, not just for the attacker trying to kill them and failing and getting punished really hard, but also for the defender having the situation where they can come up where your army you don't have an army ability anymore, basically it just disappears because your opponent was able to source enough attacks to kill them, which is like a little bit annoying. All right, let's keep talking about our super major friend over here, South Coast Super Major. We touched on Tau momentarily. We got Tau and Adeptus Custodes over here, and Thousand Sons and Drukhari. Look at this, by the way. I think the only duplicate is Aeldari at 8th, and then we get a couple more Custodes and Necrons, but like, there are 2 duplicates through the top 12 of this event, which is kind of nuts. And that the part of that might be just because of the top cut, but like there's so much stuff that is viable right now. It's absolutely insane. All right, James Hobbs over here running some Tau Empire. We got a Cold Star battlesuit, a Crisis battlesuit. So the Cold Star has Exemplar, so it's going to go into a big brick. A Crisis battlesuit has Precision. Whoa! 9 broadsides? Is that right? No, these are 2 man each, right? We have a Crisis Shasvara and a Crisis Shasvi. Okay, yeah, it's 2 broadsides. So 6 broadsides, 3 units of 2, with rail rifles and twin plasma. So just lots of direct fire shooting. A Crisis Battlesuit team, 2 Ghost Kill Battlesuits, triple Tetras, triple Stingwings. That's different. This guy was like, Riptides? No, thank you. Got my broadsides right here. I'm all good. And you know what? I appreciate that. Yeah, that's cool. That's a very different list. It's been a while since we've seen broadside battlesuits in any reasonable numbers. Because they're so weird, if you take the singletons, which I think is a lot of times like what they're trying to push you towards, where they have this very efficient single entity unit that's like super tough, but their ballistic skills suck so hard, and you don't want to spend an entire other unit spotting for them because you're spotting for like 3, maybe 4 attacks, which you super don't want to do. But these guys have missile drones too. Okay. Okay. We're not taking all the shield drones for like 10 wound models. We're taking missile drones. That's sick. All right, so that's actually a reasonable number of shots, right? Because the missile drones each fire twice. So that's, and there's 4 of them. So it's 8 shots plus the 2 plasmas and the 2 rail rifles and the seeker missiles. So we're actually, I mean, again, like you don't want to be spotting for these individual guys with just very low volume attacks. So what we're trying to do with this build is like push their volume to the point where you feel okay about giving them rerolls with the Tetras. That's really interesting. And then Crisis Battlesuits with missile pods. Oh my god, I'm like, every time I read one of these entries, I'm like, this is super different. Missile pods in the Crisis Battlesuits. Are they all missile pods? They're missile plasma. Cool. So they are a long-range battlesuit brick. You don't have to get up close and personal and blow yourself up with the cyclic ion blasters. We're firing from 24 plus inches with these guys, and then potentially using Strike and Fade to hide them, so that we're only presenting a front line of Ghost Keels and maybe broadside battlesuits. It gets much easier to hide them from reciprocation if they are jumping behind a ruin or something. That definitely helps. That's maybe the favorite town model. I think they're definitely, in my opinion, the coolest battle suit. Hey, look who's on stream. Inky, the chat wants to say hi. You want to come say hi to chat? Well, maybe. Watch your head, kitty. Oh, ooh, oh, maybe. Oh, you got stuck on my shirt. Okay. There she is. Hi. Aw, very cute. Look at this kitty. Get all this snuggle. Oh, where are we going? Up there? Okay. Hello. You snuggly girl. Broadsides are pretty high attack amount. They don't have that many, right, by themselves. It's just the 2 rail rifle shots plus the 1 plasma and maybe a missile. It's only 4 attacks. Which is, when you're comparing that to, like, you could use a guide on that, or you could use a guide on, right, like a Riptide, or a Crisis Battlesuit team, or even just like a Crisis Commander or something. The broadside doesn't have us quite as much, or a Skyray, or any of these other units. The star has returned. It's true. This is her stream. I'm just here. She just lets me use it. Aw, she's on my lap now. What a cutie pie. Tau seem pretty good, and they don't even have a book yet. Yeah, I think the Tau. I mean, the difference between the Tau, or a faction like Tau, and Dark Angels is that Tau are an actual faction, right? Like, Dark Angels are just a sub-faction. They don't even have a codex, they have a supplement, which adds a content to an additional codex. And so I think it's a very different comparison, because Tau are going to get a bunch of, you know, like, they're going to get a lot more unique data sheets, they're going to get a lot more unique detachments, and it's definitely going to be really good for them. But the question is whether or not they get a treatment like Necrons, where they actually get the stuff that they have right now nerfed, which would be I think the precedent is such now that GW is like, hey guys, the detachments you have currently in the index are not sacred. They may change. And so you can't just rely on the fact that you can like fall back on your existing mechanics, which is a little bit scary, because it means that factions do have the opportunity to just straight up get worse. But we'll see how they end up changing things. I think they're going to get a lot more melee oriented, if I had to guess, because of all the new Kroot stuff, but we'll see. Thinking there were 3-man units. Yeah, these are just 2-mans, by the way. Blarg Zombie, thank you for the sponsorship. Appreciate you. That really helps. The Codex release cycle is kind of borked right now, right? Because we're kind of expecting... We're expecting more stuff. Like the Dark Angels Codex, the supplement that we were just talking about, isn't even realistically like legal yet, right? Because they've never updated the Munitorum, which is like kind of nutty. We've had it for like a month, and they just never release points. Like, okay, get wrecked, I guess. Yeah, what if the Tau book is more like AdMech? Yeah, it's interesting because we have so little information right now because we just haven't got any books out. They haven't released them, so we don't know what to expect. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? Anything could happen. They just haven't told us what's up, so who knows? Yeah, still waiting on the Dark Angels points update. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been crazy that they haven't released that, because they like literally said it was gonna be like a week or something. It makes me think that they like forgot and that nobody brought it up. You know, you get to that point, you ever like forget something or like it slips your mind, and then it takes so long for you to like, you remember it later and you're just like, oh no, now I'm embarrassed. That's kind of how it feels to me, honestly. Only Kroot detachment. Yeah, a Kroot detachment that will be super duper busted for sure. All the Kroot stuff's gonna be super good. We can move on to Adeptus Custodes now. Also they went technically undefeated, but didn't get the top cut because they had a draw. Who did they draw against, by the way? Anybody else have an 82? No. Who's this? Tom Simpson? Did they play 4 rounds? No, they didn't. Oh, that's weird. I wonder what happened there. Oh, he got a draw round 4. That's not what this says. PCP, what are you doing? Oh yeah, it is. Okay, just kidding. All right. I just misread. I thought it was a round 5 draw, but it was reported as something else. He drew against Chaos Demons, Franco McDonald. All right, we're saving you for later, my guy. All right, we're talking about Adeptus Custodes over here. Do we dare look at his list description? It's a metal. Okay, boring. If I played too much of that, I'm gonna get like copy struck. So we'll leave that there. Boop 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 boo. So this is 4 characters. So do we have 4 big bricks? We have 5 big bricks. Oh my god. So double Blade Champion, Trajan, Shield Captain, double Custodian Guard. So 1 for Trajan, 1 for Kyria Draxus. And then a bunch of Custodian Wardens for everybody else to jump into, plus Prosecutors and a Calidus Assassin for secondaries. Wow, that's straightforward. Okay. That is a blunt instrument of an Adeptus Custodes list if I've ever seen one. But we talked about it last week too. That's kind of how the direction the faction's going in. Like, whether these bricks end up getting composed of Alaris Custodians or Venatori or whatever it is, I think they're slowly transitioning to taking 5 units. Just 5 big idiot infantry units running across the table. But yeah, I don't know if there's much else to talk about with this list. That's how it is. That's how it do be, I think. There we go. It was a YouTube link, chat. I knew I was gonna go to YouTube. If it was like a random link, I wouldn't have clicked on it, but a YouTube link. We'll see what we get. Forgetting to FAQ Guard last edition. Oh my god, the Guard last edition was such a mess. It's like this, it's like getting to be the same situation. Guard was a mess because everyone knew they were broken because they pre-released like 6 months before you could play them. And they were just like, it's fine. And everyone were like, it's not fine, guys. The fact that the meta's dead. Guard are gonna kill them. The Khazarkan bomb's gonna do 25 mortal wounds, literally anything. And everyone's gonna be dead. And they were just like, no, it's whatever. And then it happened, and everyone's like, wow, told you so. And G-Dub's like, oh well, that sucks. Well, here's a new edition. Here's World Eaters, first of all, and then a new edition. You're like, oh my god. That was annoying too, because it was like even obnoxious as a Guard player. You knew your codex was going to be broken, but you couldn't play it because it wasn't technically released for like 6 fucking months after you had it in your hands. Like you literally could have a physical copy and like no event let you play with it. What a nightmare. An absolute travesty of a situation that was. Super bad. How about them Custodes, chat? How about them Custodes? Look at all these Custodes. That's friggin' 25 Custodians standing right there on the table. Basically fought a list like that with Sons of Sanguinius Blood Angels, but it was a nasty game. I just talked with someone over the weekend who played that matchup at Cherokee and said that it was just insanely hard for Sons of Sanguinius. But I think he won it. Yeah, I feel bad for those World Eaters players. The World Eaters Codex was really cool, too. It was like, I don't know. The way that they designed the World Eaters game plan in 8th edition was that it was so interesting because you basically just had to sacrifice your whole army to win the game, like purposefully, and I think that was really cool. Franco McDonald, unfortunately, did go down his last game, so he didn't do quite that great. Which is a little bit sad. He's the only Chaos Demons here, and I'm going to talk about it. So, he did tie our undefeated Custodes player. What were we playing today? Bellicor, Great Unclean One, Shalaxi, Scarbrand. Pretty stock standard. No Everstave guy, which is interesting. Everstave guy kind of feels like he's a bit of an auto include with this faction. He does so much damage in range. Scarbrand is cool though. I was really like, after watching Demons play over the weekend, I was really mulling Scarbrand over in my head. And the fact that he's missing like the stomp attack that the Great Unclean One, or not the Great Unclean One, the regular Bloodthirster has, does feel pretty sad to me. Because he doesn't have that like guaranteed additional damage where your opponent can like save out or like CP reroll themselves out of getting killed by the big axes, and then you're just like automatically gonna do a couple mortal wounds at the end. It definitely feels like it's a big downside. This infantry allotment's becoming more common with Chaos Demons though. 4 Nurglings, that's whatever. Nurglings are just cheap. But then 1 Pink Horror, 1 Plague Bearer to jump in on objectives and steal them, and then a bunch of utility stuff. 2 Fleshhounds, 1 Flamers for fast moving friends. Pretty standard demon stuff. Shalaxi's always the interesting include for me though. She's so good. She has so much damage output. It's like just ludicrous amounts of damage. But the problem is like, oh my god, 450 points. Like, literally 50% more than a second Scarbrand. You could get 2 Great Unclean Ones for the cost of Shalaxi Hellbane. 2 of them. And each one of them has like the same number of attacks that she does. It's like nuts. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, chat. She's so expensive. Tabletop Life in chat. What's up, everybody over there? Hope you're having a good one. In order to defeat Custodes, had to sacrifice the entire list. How did you Jishir and 5 infiltrators survive? Yeah. That sounds about right. You have to like double charge everything you want to engage in melee because they like more frag first and just kill any one thing. And you can try to, like, you can do, like, funny combat tricks. I think the way we were explaining it the other day is that, like, in order to beat Custodes with a melee-focused army, you can do it, but you have to, like, reach back into your brain and, like, pull out all your 8th edition, like, garbage, stupid shit you used to do to, like, mess with people's melee, where you're like, all right, well, if I pin this guy here, and this guy's pinned on the other side of the unit, then when you consolidate, you can only go here, and because this guy has to base here, then that guy can't get over there, so you would only be able to attack with 3 of the 6 models in your unit rather than the full unit, and then I don't lose my whole unit, so then I get to, like, double swing back at you. Absolutely, it's just stupid. It's just so stupid and annoying, but it's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do to beat them. Or you, like, put something on one side of the unit that engages everyone, they can't one-shot it, and then, like, your actual fighters engage on the other side, and they only get to swing one thing at you. Ugh, what a mess. Absolute mess. We can move on. What else we got to talk about? Anything else cool at this event? Let's see. We do have some... Tom Suter's there. He actually plays in the Discord a lot, which is cool. I went 4-1. Congratulations to him. That's super sick. We had some Drukhari in top 8. James Parrott Young. Oh, and also Thousand Suns. Let's talk about Drukhari first, because I pointed them out first. Can we look for smaller demons lists that uses the smaller demons? I mean, maybe. I mean, like, to be honest, 4 greater demons is kind of light for greater demons in a demons list, so, I don't know. I think if, at least, speaking personally, if I were to build a demons list that was focused on the little infantry, I might as well just play a different faction. Like, I would play Grey Knights or something. Because if I'm playing demons, it's because I want to play the big demons and I could play other stuff. All right. Let's jump in and talk about some Drukhari. We got a Sky Splinter Assault from James over here. We got Lilith Esparax, 2 Archons, 1 with the no Overwatch cloak, 2 units of Cabalite Warriors, 3 units of Rax, 3 units of Mandrakes. Wow, back to Scourges. This is Sky Splinter, right? Yeah. Back to Scourges. Triple Scourges, triple Mandrakes, double Incubi. 5 and a 10 for the Archons to join into. Inky, come on, girl. What are you doing? 1 Chronos and a billion Venoms. Just 100 Venoms. So the Raider in there is probably for the 10-man Incubi squad, because you don't want to split them up. You want all of the attacks with Lance all together. And then we have 5 Venoms. Yeah, 5 Venoms. So we can put the 5-man Incubi, potentially split out the Cabalite Warriors, and then put, I guess we maybe just have Rax on the ground, or we have the Cabalite Warriors on the ground, either one. The Rax are probably okay on the ground. They don't really need all the benefits that you get from the detachment ability. The Cabalite Warriors are pretty nice if you can disembark them and get the additional sustains. With the Strat, yeah, I know, very cool, huh? But I guess it's also up to the players too. Can decide day of. You're starting like a Ravager, triple Scourges, and at least like 2 of the infantry bricks on the ground. And then everything else is Venoms. That's 1,000 transports. Are Rax too fat to fit in Venoms? No, you can put them in Venoms. Rax are the skinny guys. Rax are actually like really, really easy to fit into transports. If we like take a look at them. They are, for whatever reason, it comes up with a Necromunda result. They're like super skinny. Look at how small they are. Grotesques are the big fat guys. They're too big to go into Venoms, but the Rax can definitely go into Venoms. Because they're just they're just normal men. We're just men. Just normal men. Thousand Suns need a points drop. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, chat. I think that's like definitely an opinion that I've held for a while, but demonstrably, Thousand Suns have been shown to be effective, I think, with this data set update. They're not like the best army in the game for sure, but they're okay, right? They won the largest event last weekend, which is very impressive. So that's cool. jumping into some Thousand Suns action. They work out. Well, they get worked on. I don't know if they work out that much. Mark's totally normal. Definitely. I mean, underneath all that surgery, they're definitely just normal guys. I think the one thing that Thousand Suns need, speaking of this faction that we have right up on screen right now, they just need to be able to score points better. They kill things so hard. It's great. They don't survive very much, but that's like the design of the faction. That's fine. Which is a little bit weird because like who remembers when Rubric Marines were just really hard to kill? That was their whole thing. You could get Rubric Marines to a 2+ invulnerable save back in like 8th edition for a while, I think, until they nerfed it. And like that was their whole deal. Like their bolters were kind of good, but most of the time they were like, we got psychic powers and you can't kill our infantry. Everybody's got baked in like amazing invulnerable saves and AP reduction and all this stuff. No, not anymore. Get wrecked. absolutely slapped. Now everybody just dies immediately. Everyone's just dead. They're like vapor. But at least they shoot real good, which honestly is more interesting anyway, so I appreciate that that's how they work. But yeah, we got Ahriman, we have a Forbidden Lore Exalted Sorcerer. Tell me about what you think about the state of Thousand Suns right now, EP. How do you feel about Thousand Suns? Do you think that Thousand Suns Cultists should get a points drop? Maybe Zangor Enlightened should get the infantry keyword so they can go through walls? Is that what you think? No. She thinks that the witch will be purged, I guess. I don't think we're gonna see GW bring back release level Thousand Suns. I mean, their mechanics haven't changed at all, right? They were just cheaper and then they got nerfed. I guess their devastating wounds thing changed, but they got hit two ways in a row, right? Where they got hit with their output and their points value, which was a little bit silly. And to be fair, they weren't like unbeatable when the edition came out, right? Like you look at release 10th edition, you think Thousand Suns was the best thing in the game? Get out of here. They weren't even close. It wasn't even on the same like planet. The solar systems of where Thousand Suns were and where the other top armies in the game were was like light years different. And he's affected by the rack comment. Give the disc sorcerer lone operative. That feels like it could actually be unironically really broken. Did choose between a demon prince or a soul grinder for a 1,000-point demon list? The demon prince probably. The soul grinder doesn't really synergize at all. He's just kind of there. He just hangs out. I do wish that the regular sorcerer had their ability, their 18-inch thing, all the time. Like, Eldar can do it, where they get their untargetable effects even if they're not joined to a unit. I don't know why that dude suddenly forgets how to be stealthy as soon as his unit's gone. But if you had those dudes who could, like, wander around and they still died to guns, but they didn't immediately die to artillery, I think that would help the faction quite a bit. But the fact that all of their, like, they basically have no access to lone operative anymore. The only forward operators they have are their scouts, or cultists, which honestly I think most of us should take 2 of right now. And the only lone operative they have is behind the paywall of Precors, and so it's a little annoying. But I don't know about the disc sorcerer getting it though, because he's really like, you take him in multiples anyway, and he's hard enough to kill anyway that like artillery doesn't automatically do it. So I don't know if he's the one you want to give lone operative to. I think you give it to some of the other dudes who are like a little less used. Like, why don't we give it to unattached exalted sorcerers? Those guys, nobody plays those guys. People need more mutiliths. Yeah, that's the direction things are going. Definitely, I think most of the effective lists are running at least 1 mutilith vortex beast. It was probably good that thing got nerfed because it was really dumb on release at 145. That was probably undercosted for sure. Just didn't feel like it because you were up against like, you know, Wraithguard and it would die immediately on reactive fire and you'd be like, this is a stupid thing. Why do I have this? Why don't I have more sorcerers? Yeah. Things have changed. Times have changed now. All right, so this list is running an Exalted Sorcerer with the Lord of Forbidden Lore. It's an interesting place for it. Not a disc sorcerer, just a regular ass Exalted Sorcerer. He just gives his unit a 4+ invulnerable save. He's okay for holding on to the Forbidden Lore, but he's not the greatest like caster ever. We then had an Exalted disc, 2 Infernal Masters, 1 Crystal, 1 Vortex, plus Magnus, 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Rubric Rains, 1 Rhino, 1 Megalith Vortex Beast, double Forge Fiends, Forge Friends, and a Zangor Enlightened unit. Yeah, so a little light on utility. The Forge Fiends are really interesting. I know that there's like I want to say a cult of people who are super duper high on the Thousand Suns Forge Fiend. They're very inconsistent because they're basically like Chaos Space Marine Forge Fiends, but they don't have Dark Pacts or rerolls at all. So the one way you can get them rerolls is you play Terminator Sorcerers, who unironically might be an okay profile, although I think they're pretty expensive right now. How much is a Terminator Sorcerer? Wahapedia, save me. Oh, Wahapedia is being weird. I think they're like 130, I want to say. They're like kind of nutty expensive. But those guys do give reroll 1s to something that they target. It'd be an interesting archetype to take those guys like as singletons as utility, because they can jump in, point their buff at someone, and then do an action or whatever. And they if you don't need them to do that, they have like actually kind of insane damage output by themselves. They have 3 4+ devastating anti-vehicle heat shots for 2 damage each, which is really good. Also, one of the longest names of a datasheet in the Codex. Oh, 115. It's actually not that bad. But yeah, then they gives just everybody reroll 1s to hit against something. That'd be kind of cool. Take a bunch of the big monsters and vehicles, and then a bunch of these little dudes run around and give everybody rerolls against them. But that's kind of sweet. Too bad the Forge Fiend suppression doesn't stack. Yeah, but the situations in which that would matter are kind of few and far between anyway. Because it's a +1 to hit effect, right? So it's not going to get +2 to hit anyway. The other weird thing about the Forge Fiend is that it's like kind of low volume, high impact, AP 3 damage, right? But you're playing Thousand Suns, so your opponent doesn't have armor saves when you're trying to kill them anyway. So I guess the real reason that we're probably pushing to Forge Fiends, that we're the kind of the elephant in the room that we're sort of ignoring right now, is just Custodes. They're really good against Custodes. Because they just wound them on 3s. They one-shot a Custodian Guard without a shield or Arcane Genetic Alchemy active. And they have Blast against their units. So if you have +1 Blast, you're shooting 3d3 +3 shots from the Forge Fiend. And so you're probably converting... What's the average there? Like 10 shots on 3s into 3s. So you're probably giving them 3 or 4 saves to make. And every failure is a dead Custodian. And if they can't shoot you back, which they probably can't because they're being binded, and if they don't have Caladius grab tanks, their shooting's not that great. You only have to do that twice, and the Sword of Fortune's paid for itself. So that's probably the real reason. It's actually not a bad reason to take them. Plus, they look cool. I got mine on my shelf up there. Look at that guy. What a sweet dude. All right, people are bored of me talking about Forge Fiends, I guess. So, some people asking about Tyranids. Should we look at some Tyranid lists? Doesn't look like a lot of Tyranids from this event. We did see tons of Tyranids over the weekend, on my stream over the weekend, but that was largely because they're really good in team events. Super duper good in team events. Oof. 4-2 is a team. The highest placing Tyranid from Clutch City is 4-2. Man, this faction's in the doldrums right now. All right, here's a 5-1 from the Wheat City. Garrett Olsen running some Tyranids. It's Invasion Fleet, though. Oh, this one is Invasion Fleet. Ran triple Executioner Ironstorm this morning. It was the funnest heck. Yeah, dude, that list is a trip. I'm glad people have come around to that list, because the first time I saw it on the table, I was like, Executioners, they haven't played in a while. And then my opponent was like, here's 42 attacks, and all of them have lethal hits on and sustained on 5s. And I was like, oh, just kidding. I see. I understand the combo now. I'm going to die. All right. Seems like this one is exactly what you said over in the chat there, Mr. Ryan. Running some Hive Tyrant plus Hold One Eye plus the Carnifex, the Cheerleaders. There you go. Double Gargoyles, double Exocrine, or triple Exocrine, triple Maleceptor, Neurolictor, triple Pyrovore, Ripper Swarms. Yeah. So just a big brick of idiots to shoot at people and fight them. And honestly, if we see Custodes more often, I guess I don't know what the actual breakdown of the matchup is, but Exocrines are legitimately really good against Custodes for exactly the same reason that we just talked about the Forge Fiend for, which is that they have like just a really good profile matchup. They win on 3s, put them on their invuln save, even in cover, and they kill them on a failed save if they don't have anything defensive active. And between those and the Maleceptors all basically doing that, like, it's a lot of blast multi-damage that you can clear through heavy infantry with. So if we move to this metagame where heavy infantry is like the name of the game, then Tyranids might have a lease on life. Plus, if they're infantry, you get your detachment benefit against it, so that'd be nice. Imagine putting out that grav tanks are leaving. That would surprise me, but maybe. Right now, it doesn't seem like it would hurt Custodes very much, because they are I would say, like, it's a 50-50 whether the list is all infantry or with grav tanks, and I think the consensus is slowly moving towards infantry, from what I'm seeing. So that would be unfortunate for the faction in the long term. I would hope that they would get vehicle support from somewhere else, but in the short term, people are just running the infantry anyway. Well, One Eye becoming meta is the favorite thing. He is cool. He is cool. I think it getting a points cut on that guy was good. The fact that the unit's like sub 400 points and is like kind of an absolute trip is pretty nice. They also shoot pretty hard too, which is nice. Any other Tyranids to jump into before we dive off here? Let's take a quick peek. Nah. It's a little light on the Tyranid fare today. Oh, there's more Chaos Demons, though. Chad, I want to talk about the Chaos Demons. I want to talk Chaos Demons. And we're going to do it, because I've got a one-track mind. Oh, this list is kind of cool. It's a little bit all over the place. Quoklay? I don't know. Got Bellicor, the Endless Scape's Grid and Clean One. There's Eversave Guy, and Shalaxi Hellbane. So we just, out of the other list that we talked about, we cut Scarbrand for Eversave Guy in 20 points. We then have 3 Nurglings rather than 4. Plague Bearers, no Pink Horrors, but the Pink Horrors with their powers combined turned into a Blood Crusher unit. So, and then a Secret Chariot. I love the Secret Chariot, by the way. I don't know if we've brought up this data sheet on stream before, but I've been playing the Secret Chariot in my games just because it's like cheap and it's like a good utility unit. But the Secret Chariot might be just the nuttiest thing right now. That's Exalted Secret Chariot. We want the regular Secret Chariot. Nope, that's a Hellfire. Which data sheet is it? Why do all the Slash data sheets look exactly the fucking same? Here it is. Nope, that's Exalted Seeker. Oh my god. I'm clicking on the same one over and over. Do I have the data sheet for this model? Those are just regular Seekers. Alright, maybe I've lost it. Maybe I just don't have it. Is this it? Nope, that's the mask. Alright. Well, go wreck myself, I guess. Do I literally... Oh, it doesn't have a picture! Of course it doesn't have a frickin' picture. God damn it. Yeah, so this is 65 points. That's the thing you have to keep in mind with this data sheet. It's 65 points. It's a Moop 14 model. Already, we're cooking with gas. because it's just a super fast utility unit. It is unfortunately mounted, so it can't go through walls, which makes it a little bit slower than like those guys that fly. The manta ray guys. How have I just forgotten what they're called? Screamers, Jesus. So for 10 points less than Screamers, you can't go through walls. But that's like the comparison. But their toughness 6, have a 4+ invulnerable save, and an awkward number of wounds, 7 wounds. And they attack 13 times in melee and have an assault weapon. So if you warp surge them, you can assault, and then you can shoot the gun and then charge. So you're attacking potentially 19 times. With a 65-point model. This model is expensive as 5 scouts and has like 19 potential attacks. Absolutely nuts. Plus, when they charge, the 9 claw attacks get anti-infantry 4 and have devastating wounds. So on its base, it like is good for 1 or 2 damage into heavy stuff because you can devastate it. Already pretty solid for 65 points and a good utility unit. But then also, once you charge infantry, you're good for like 4 or 5 automatic damage from the claws. That's nuts. That's insane. And 65 points, and it's OC3. It randomly out OCs OC2 guys. Just such a silly profile. I love it. It's underrated, I think. Definitely underrated. Cherry came in the tournament series. Oh yeah, in General Bradley's, like the fans versus YouTubers. Yeah. Yeah, the Secret Chariot was like sick in all of those games, honestly. Even in the games where we just scored a secondary and then my opponent had to turn around and kill it, like it takes more than 65 points to kill it. Like it's like killing a rhino almost, you know? Like you can't throw light infantry garbage at it and be like, "Oh, I'm going to kill it with bolters." Like you would be able to most 65-point units in the game. You actually have to dedicate anti-tank stuff to it. But it has to be good enough anti-tank that it gets through like a random spike of invulnerable saves. It's it's such a profile. It's absolutely nuts. Super insane. All right. Have I gone over Jack's Space Wolves list? Which Space Wolves list? I don't know who Jack is. All right, we're back with, this is Clutch City. Any other armies that we wanna dive into? There's some Space Marines over here. Oh, there's more Chaos Demons. Yes. This one's all Blood Crushers. Let's go. This one, they are bringing Screamers this one. Big Fleshhound unit. Triple Renmaster. Oh, chat. Yes. It's spreading. The Triple Renmaster degeneracy. I love it. People are catching on. We got Be'lakor, Triple Renmaster, Nurglings, Plague Bearers, Triple Blood Crusher. No Skull Masters on the Blood Crushers, which is a little sad. But we got a 10-man Fleshhounds. The only reason you bring the 10-man Fleshhounds is because then they like you send them all into one target, and then they just absolutely plow basically anything in the game. They go to Strength 7, AP 3 or AP 4 damage with all of the Renmaster buffs. Just absolutely nutty. They kill knights. They just chomp them with their little mouths. Num 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 num. Num 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 num. That's amazing. Shout out to TJ Bruce for playing such a Chad list at Clutch City. Absolute madman. Do I think the Hail Strike is good with triple executioners? Yeah, I think so. The +1 AP is really good. I think the Storm Speeders in general are pretty solid. Or the Ignore Cover one, because that's also just like generically +1 AP as well. Is it useful to class Space Marines into diversion chapters if they're using the vanilla detachments anyway? That's a philosophical question that has plagued the community for since time immemorial.
I think I don't know. I'm of two minds. On one hand, I think it helps to because the independent chapters are kind of defined by their unique units rather than their detachments. The detachments are fine, but realistically, like if we look at these two chapters right here, right, Blood Angels and Ultramarines, like Ultramarines are there because they have, like, kind of generically, right, they have maneuverability. You can either take Marneus Calgar, who goes fast, or Uriel Ventris, who lets you deep strike, and they have good like command point economy, either because of Rawutik Illiman giving 1 million free stratagems over the course of the game, or Marneus Calgar again giving you CP. Yeah, so we brought Marneus Calgar this time. Whereas Blood Angels are going to be all about melee characters all the time because all their characters shoot, or all their characters melee really good. Got Lamarties, a bunch of dudes, bunch of Death Company Marines, yeah. So like, despite the fact that 99% of all the data sheets in these two factions are identical, they're just the same faction, like the armies look very different, right? Because Ultramarines are almost always going to be like a primarily shooting army with like a backline of characters that punch real good, whereas Blood Angels are most of the time going to be this very aggressive. They're not 100% melee, but they're typically very aggressive and like very up in your face, and with like with good like kind of first strike melee units like all the Death Company. These are regular Death Company Marines, by the way. Wait, what is this list? Hold up. I was using this as an example, but this list is absolutely pants on head. I love it. We'll talk about this in a sec after I finish my point. So like, both of these chapters are going to operate differently, even if 90% of the stuff is the options are the same. And I think that is meaningful, even if it's not. They don't have the same level of difference as like two different armies from two entirely different factions. I do think that when you're considering Space Marines, though, it makes less sense when you're considering how, like, the strength or weakness of Space Marines, it makes less sense to consider them as individual factions, though. So I think that it's good to point out, it's good to differentiate lists for categorization, but if we're looking at power level, I think you just look at whatever's good, because like ultimately Space Marines can just move to different chapters, which is a strength that no other faction has. And those are my opinions about it. So short answer, yeah, I think it's still useful, even if it's not necessarily going to be like defining. All right, let's talk about this this 4-1 Blood Angels list. Carmine Batista, what are you playing, my dude? So this is an Ironstorm Spearhead. So we're in Ironstorm. We took 2 Chaplains. One of them has a Feel No Pain, plus Lamarties. So the 2 Chaplains go into the Foot Death Company squads. Lamarties goes into the big squad. Attack Marine with target augury, so we get the lethal hits, and then a combat lieutenant. We have 1 Impulsor. Double Eliminators. So we're doing with Instigators. So we're doing the Repulsor Shoot and Scoot. So they can disembark the Repulsor, move, shoot their guns, move back, embark the Impulsor, shoot the Impulsor. This list is amazing. I love it. Infiltrator Squad, Scout Squad, double Storm Raven Gunship is what we're putting the Death Company in. Oh my god! What? Storm Raven Gunships. Dude, let's go. Okay. Fair enough. So the Storm Ravens, I mean, they're just a good kind of alpha strikey unit, right? They got lots of big, the heavy plasma cannons, a good blast, 3 damage gun, a bunch of multi-meltas, 1 million shots from hurricane bolters. It's all kind of high value. You can put them in the air if you want to get like infinite movement and see over ruins if you need to kill like enemy artillery and stuff. And then also they just like infantry sweep like a boss, and they're hard to kill on the crackback because they're innately -1 damage. And we don't have Adept of the Omnissiah in this list, but if we did, we could be -1 damage with a blank, which would be very nice. But I guess we're just using them to throw enormous numbers of Death Company Marines at people. That's sick. What? This is the reason, right? These are why these chapters work differently. This is an Ironstorm Spearhead. This in every other faction, in Dark Angels or in Ultramarines or whatever. This detachment is the quintessential gun line. You just set up a bunch of like sort of like brainless vindicators and stuff across from the other side of your the other side of the table from your opponent, and then you resolve 1,000 attacks against them. But this version, because it's in Blood Angels, and you have access to the Blood Angels melee stuff, which is unironically really strong. You just get a bunch of Power Fist dudes to put inside your transports. That's rad. This list is rad. I love it. Inky, what are you doing, silly goose? People taking Ironstorm for ignore modifiers? I don't think that's the only reason you would be playing Ironstorm Spearhead, chat. I would, that is good. Gets around, like, Catan shards pretty well. But I think that, that you have a lot of other benefits for Ironstorm Spearhead. Cool beans. That's a fun list. What is the other one? The Ultramarines list that we were just talking about. This is a Gladius task force. Jared Gomez. Running a bunch of lieutenants. Oh, chat. Look, what are all these lieutenants doing? What are these lists that we've stumbled on? They're amazing. This one is a Fire Discipline Lieutenant, a regular lieutenant. Who does the Fire Discipline Lieutenant go in with? A Hellblaster squad. Oh, let's go, dude. The Fire Discipline Storm of Fire Hellblaster combo is not quite as good as some of the other units that do it. It's a little inefficient, but it definitely fires a million times because you get to like double and triple tap those guys, which is kind of sick. If they die on their hazardous, they can shoot, and then if they die on this crackback, they can shoot, and they can really mess with your opponent's attack sequencing because like you have to play knowing that there's a potential that you shoot at these Hellblasters and they turn around and kill something that hasn't attacked yet, and they just ruin your turn. That can definitely happen. Then we have a second lieutenant. So Marnius Calgar jumps probably in with the Blade Guard veterans because they can give him reroll ones to hit, which is a big deal. That's where he's missing. He's twin linked when he's swinging, but he misses a lot of times. So we get another lieutenant with Calgar, a Combi lieutenant who's by himself, and then a Phobos lieutenant. So he gives his unit shoot and scoot. And they're in with an Incursor squad, probably. So he can shoot, get +1 to hit with the Incursors, and then run away and do it multiple times. And then they're buffing a bunch of Gladiators, looks like. It's double Lancer Reaper. And the Hellblasters, I guess. Yeah, that also benefits the Hellblasters, too, because you can get them to 2+, or hitting on 2s, I should say. And then you can reroll everything to try to get lethal and sustains. And then that's all AP 3/2 damage. So the Incursors like buff the Hellblasters really naturally, too. Assuming you're shooting at your Oath target. Obviously, it's a lot of investment, right? Because you're putting 150 points into the Incursors, plus 300 points into the Hellblasters, plus your Oath of the Moment, plus a stratagem, plus an enhancement. But once you put it all together, the Hellblasters go absolutely apeshit. This list is really cool. This is just a classically cool Space Marine list. Pretty solid. Yeah, X and O list I talk about on the Monday video chat, so it's on the video I posted yesterday, if you want me to talk about that one. Although I did say, I pulled up data sheets on 39k Pro. I will say that it's straight up the last time I do that, because it did not list a bondsman ability for that knight, and so I mentioned, I was like, oh, he doesn't have a bondsman ability, he's just very key to killing vehicles. No, absolutely wrong. The Cerastus Atropos is just bondsmen to kill vehicles, which is interesting and cool on like Helvrins, or on Warglaives, I should say, or actually especially on Helvrins because they have a million attacks. But I like totally missed it day of because I was recording it because the website lied to me. So I'm never using that website again, chat. That's the last time I get a rule wrong because I looked it up on fucking 39k Pro. We're a Wahapedia family here in this house, I guess. I'll brave my way through their million ads to get rules that are actually correct. What Wahapedia actually keyed me onto a rule that I hadn't been. I was building a list the other day. I'd known about it because I believe it was added in Codex. It's a Space Marine rule, and they added it post-index. And I'm gonna pull it up, and it was on Wahapedia, and I straight up didn't believe it, and I had to go dig out my copy of the Codex to verify. But it's really cool, and I am trying to get a game with a list like built around this fucking unit. So it's on Rhinos and Razorbacks. They added a clause in here, and I want to thank Wahapedia for being a faithful adaptation of the datasheet, because they added a clause that says you can't embark Tacticus models into them. I have my face cam still up. Excluding Tacticus characters that are attached to non-Tacticus units. So in the index, you could not attach a Tacticus character to a tactical squad and then embark them into a transport, because any transport that said non-Tacticus, the unit would be a Tacticus unit, so it doesn't matter. In the new codex, because most of the characters moved to being Tacticus keyword only, you couldn't take firstborn versions of them. You still can, and I had no fucking idea until literally yesterday when I was on Wahapedia. So big shout out to the Wahapedia folks, because it saved my life. I was on the edge. I was dark place chat because I couldn't attach all my degenerate character combos to tactical squads, but you can, and then put them into transports. Very exciting. That's a really long tangent, but these Space Marine lists that we just talked about are cool, is what I have to say about that. We already talked about Drukhari. Yeah, we talked about Drukhari earlier, Jim. Did we see the Quad Chungus list? They went 4-1 in a 64-person tournament in Cincinnati. Chat, I am in a Demons kick right now, so if you tell me a Demons list that you want me to talk about that did good, then I'll freaking do it. What event was that? Somebody give me an event, and I'll look at it. I'm trying to find an event in Cincinnati. But I think the like Nurgle Demons list is unironically really good. They finally discounted Great Unclean Ones to the point that they're just like really good defensive stats for points. And Rodigus, I think people are finally it's also because they kept discounting points enough until you actually played the Nurgle Demons. But Rodigus is like unironically super strong. At his points value, I should say. At his points value, Rodigus is really good. And I think his like ranged attack specifically is like really silly. It's a 2d6 devastating wound torrent. Strength 7 EP2 to ignore cover. You're like, okay. Jesus Christ. Like, please don't overwatch me, sir. Why are Nids good at team events? The Tyranids are really bad at winning games, but really good at scoring 1,000,000 points. They're really good at losing games really narrowly, basically. That's what I should say. So in the team format, in the WTC team format, which the NTL is also using, the way that the pairing process works is that each team has to put forward one list that the other team then pairs into every round. And the lists that you want to put forward into that process without knowing what your opponent is going to put into them early on in the pairing process, you want armies that will score as many points as possible. Regardless of whether or not they win, all you want them to do is to be able to soak a matchup and basically like turn it into a 10-10 draw. And Tyranids are so good at doing that because they just, every single game you score like 78 points with Tyranids. And regardless of whether or not they have any models left on the table, they're going to score that many points. And, you know, most of the time, the other player scores more points than them, but they very rarely score very many more points than them. And that's what matters in a team event. Not actually winning, just scoring points. And so that's why Tyranids are good in teams events. They're just a victory point generating machine. And that's what makes them great. Cag Bash was the Cincinnati. Is this Benson Bledsoe? Woo. What a name. Oh, chat. Look at this. Look at this absolute chat of a list. Amazing. Yeah, Inky, it's so cool. There's 3 Great Unclean Ones and Rodigus. Aren't you excited? Doesn't that make you so sappy? No, it makes you want to not go up and sit on my lap. All right, Bellicor, the Endless Gift guy, double normal Great Unclean One plus Rodigus, double Nurgling, double Plague Bearers, 1 Beast of Nurgle to stand on objectives forever, and 2 units of Plague Drones. It has been so long since I've even deigned to glance at the Plague Drone profile. But once you're in on the Great Unclean One boat, like, you might as well be in on the Nurgle theme, right? Because the Great Unclean Ones all buff like each other. They're probably, I guess it makes sense thematically that Great Unclean Ones are just about the most generous of the greater demons in that they just buff everybody around them, right? This is Horticulus Slimex. That's not what I want. Where is the Plague Drone? Oh, there. After the Plague Drone shoots, selects 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of the attacks. Each time a friendly Nurgle demon model makes an attack that targets that unit, you can reroll the wound roll. Oh my god. Okay. I know, it's crazy strong. That's so cool when you have like 4 demons with ridiculous flamers on them. Wait, that's rad. So, yeah, the Great Unclean Ones give them a feel no pain, right? Rodigus can improve their damage in melee. And I believe, if I remember correctly, oh my god, cat, Jesus Christ, that Rodigus doesn't have the no extra attacks clause. Yep, just damage characteristic of attacks. There are some combos in the faction, I believe, that can add stats to melee weapons, but they don't add stats to their extra attacks. And it looks like that is not the case for Playground. So they go to 2 and 3 damage with Rodigus's buff, which is cool. But then giving reroll wounds is actually super sick. They just have to throw and hit their weapon. It's D3 shots apiece, so you have probably 6 shots at hitting, and it is within 12. But then you can stack all of the Great Unclean One debuffs on people to give them -3 toughness. So the Great Unclean Ones basically wound the entire game on 5s, or maybe even 4s at that point. And then, like I said, the flamer profiles in these guys is like kind of silly. Like Rodigus here, he's got 2d6 attacks at strength 7 devastating. Those auto hits, so you don't have to worry about the hit roll, but you get wound rerolls from the Playgrounds. And then every single one of these Great Unclean Ones, assuming that they have oh, they have swords. Huh. Oh yeah, of course they have swords. But I don't know what they have on their offhand. Everybody gets a sword, unless you take the silly bell, but the bell's a little bit of a meme. I think that you can swap out. Yeah, you can swap out their flail for extra attacks, but the flail is really good. It's an extra D6 plus 1 AP 2 damage swings. It's similar to the sword. The difference being that the sword you get to attack with theoretically more often because you're getting stuck in melee for multiple turns is I think usually the arithmetic. But the flail then also benefits from the Plague Drone. So you're getting... I guess the sword also benefits from the Plague Drone. It's not only shooting attacks. But you're more likely to get more flail hits on them. And I guess it's weird. It's a little weird because if you can't shoot at something that's already engaged in the Great Unclean Ones because it's a blast weapon. The Plague Drone's attack is a blast weapon, so they probably don't get their rerolls every turn in melee. But at least the turn they go in, they'll get it. But they do get them if they're just hitting them with their flail. But that means you're attacking a potential 2d6 plus 4 times between the vomit and the flail attack. And all of that's getting wound rerolls. And a billion extra, effectively extra strength because you're reducing the enemy toughness value. That's cool, chat. That's super cool. All right. I like this list, too. Demons are so cool, man. What a cool faction. God damn. It had been so long since I read the Plague Drone data sheet. I forgot that they had that ability. That's super duper sick. Adorable. The Rodigus +1 damage is just keep in mind it is, I believe, only melee attacks. Yeah, it start of fight phase and it goes until end of phase. So they will only affect Rodigus only gets the benefits the melee weapons, but you can still get the rerolls and stuff too. Nurgle's best mono god? I think it's second best. I think that Khorne is probably still strongest, but I think it's definitely close, for sure. And you can, like, the Great Unclean Ones are so fat, you get into some weird situations sometimes where you can't, like, actually get all of your attacks to bear because the Great Unclean Ones, like, mutually shut themselves up. But at the very least, the Guos are like a big, they're like a big dumb utility unit where you can just, like, pick them up. If they're next to Bellicor, you can, like, pick 2 of them up and then throw them in your opponent's deployment zone. And just be like, I don't know, I'm here now. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Miss 9th edition Bellicor? Yeah, I do too. We watched him on stream. I think Wes was, like, commenting on it earlier. We watched him on stream over the weekend get shot by Nightbringer. Get 3 shots, 3 hits, 3 wounds, no saves. Bellicor just died. Just like, all right, well, that's cool. He definitely feels too squishy for 350 points. Like, you're at the point, right, with the big greater demons. And to be fair, most of the time he can't be shot. But when your opponent is, like, uppy downing all over the place, it doesn't really matter. But the big greater demons you're talking about are equivalent points value to knights right now, and they're, like, significantly, they're worse saves, like usually by 2 because knights can benefit from a cover and they can't. Significantly worse toughness, like way less wounds, like four less wounds or so. And they have other abilities, like they're more offensively oriented than other stuff, but it's still not a great comparison.
I feel like people complain about Riptide weapon profiles, but to me it falls in line with similar units like Maleceptors and Redempted Dreadnoughts. I'm curious about your opinion on the matter.
Lewis, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you, dude. I talked about the Knights list yesterday, chat, on the Monday video. You're overpaying for the don't shoot aura? Yeah, I think so. And that's, like, why you bring him, right? So you don't just get killed immediately. Because demons are not survivable enough to survive a turn 1 shooting. Riptide falls in line with Maleceptor and Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Yeah, I think that now it does. I don't remember. I actually think I might have just gotten rid of my old copy of the Munitorum field manual. I think I did. Mistakes were made. Let me see if I still have it. I don't remember what points value they were at. Oh, no, just kidding. It's still here. So previous points value, Riptide points value was 235. And I think that's the problem. Or that was the problem with the Riptide battlesuits points value, with their weapon profile, right? Because you're paying equivalent point. You're like, that's a repulsor executioner, just about. Like, not quite, but just about. And you compare this gun like a 6-shot, like kind of mid-damage gun that was shitty strength and mediocre AP and terrible ballistic skill, to like the Repulsor's 2-shot, like insane god cannon. And then like you don't have all of the other little cool guns, and like you're missing out on everything else. And the Riptide's like more expensive, and it just like it pays for, it's like 3 less toughness. Its save is better and it has an invuln save, which is good, but it's like less toughness, less wounds, less OC. Like it's just worse in like every conceivable way, basically. And I think that the comparison is much more apt now. I think that the Riptide is probably, it needs more help, I think, to make work. But I think a large part of the reason people are taking it is because its defensive profile for cost now is really good, right? A 2+, 4+, 14 wounds for 165 is like a deal. It's like an absolute bargain. And I think the better comparison between the Riptide is with the Ghost Keel, in my opinion, because their weapons aren't dissimilar. They're like kind of these like sort of mediocre, like high damage, like medium damage attacks. And they're both just exist to sit on objectives while like contributing a little bit. And I think that's really where Riptides like want to be sitting. I don't know if that made sense. Which they translated some of Bellacor's old abilities into the Shadow abilities. Yeah, it does. A sad part to me about Bellacor is, yeah, the Ghost Keel is still obnoxious for sure. It seems like because of the Riptide's more of a combined arms unit, where it's like half of its toolkit is being a big shield generator guy, and half of its toolkit is just like vaporizing people. It's probably better like be jack of all trades, but oh my god, the Ghost Keel is still annoying. Still obnoxious, and they're not too much different, right? In points value now, the Ghost Keel is like 20 points less. Shows how much I pay attention to Tau points values. How expensive is the Ghost Keel? Did Wikipedia get like DDoS or something? They have like a weird verification process they go through. Is it called the Ghost Keel battlesuit? No. Wait. Wikipedia, why? Why have you done this? No, alright, that was weird. It just wouldn't find the datasheet for me for a while, for some reason. 160. Okay, so they're actually like equivalent. It's only 5 points less. Yeah. Ghost Keel is definitely still harder to kill, because you can't shoot it most of the time. But it pales in the comparison, right? Less wounds, less toughness value, less OC, less range. Is it less range? Yeah, the Riptide shoots 72. Like, less range, attacks are worse. It's this AP2. This AP2 sucks. It should be AP3, probably. I think you just, like... The Ghost Keel's still good, but you just want a Riptide more, probably. Oh, maybe I didn't include the XV. Maybe that would be why. Oh, I don't know. This doesn't have it. I don't know. I think it was just a little bug. Just a little bug. But yeah, touching on the ignore damage is good. Yeah, that's definitely something that the Riptide doesn't equate. Going back to like the Bellacor discussion, I definitely feel his auras were probably needed to bake a little bit longer, especially with the he never wants to be closer than 18 inches of you, so it's a little bit weird that many of his auras, like the area of the table that he I just fucking closed the data sheet immediately. The area of the table that he wanted to exist in is so is like just, I don't know, like anathema to like how he works. It's super weird. Like one of his abilities is an 18-inch sort of defensive thing, so that makes him and his army want to play back. But then all of his other abilities are like almost strictly offensive, where it's like reroll battle shock, which only really matters like round 3 or 4 like plus, or getting enemies within 6 inches of him. And those are just like, they're just really bad. The reroll battle shock is like fine, but you only ever take them because the shooting one doesn't matter anymore. The shooting one is so much stronger than the other ones, and it feels like those needed a little bit of a helping hand, I guess. Like I don't know. They're just really bad, and you would almost never like voluntarily choose them, unless the shooting aura wasn't very good. I just wish he rerolled ones to hit or something. If one of those was like like if he could flip between defensive anti-shoot and offensive rerolls or something, I think that would be nice. But I don't know. It is what it is. And plus the Pall of Despair got nerfed as well, so it doesn't force multiple battle shocks, which is just garbage. Yeah, so this ability, the reason it's like worded like that is, in my opinion, obviously I don't know this for sure, but I believe that this was the original intent was that this stacked with normal battle shock, and when the edition came out, that's how it worked. Where if you were affected by a Pall of Despair or a similar effect, Death Leaper had one, Harkin World Claimer had one, although his is worded differently. There's a bunch of other ones. Anyway, the Chaos Knights ability. Chaos Knights also have it. If you were affected by any of those and you were below half, you would take 2 battle shock checks. And in Demons, that's nuts, because if you fail both of those, you take 2d3 mortal wounds. So there's a pretty significant chance that you go from being below half to being non-existent because you just disappear and you're on battle shock step. Which, in that case, it's really cool. So if you go and you poke a guy and you're like, all right, like Be'lakor goes in, like slashes you down, does a bunch of damage, doesn't kill you. You take 2 battle shock checks, both at -1 because he's shadowing you. There's like a pretty solid chance that he basically just like bloodthirsters you, right? Like stomp attacks in your command phase after the fight's done. They have since nerfed it to say that these abilities do not stack with normal battle shock, which makes them fucking trash. They're so bad. They're like the instances in which you matter. You're like in which it matters. So you're not wrong. Are already very, very few. You have to have your most expensive and most powerful dude within 6 inches of them, have not killed them, and also you're playing Chaos Demons, which is a faction that doesn't like, basically doesn't shoot, right? You have Everstave guy and you have a bunch of little random attacks. So you can maybe shoot one thing to death a turn, but you're not like Astra Militarum, where your opponent's coming in and all their stuff has just been like shot to shit because you're just Kazrakin everywhere and artillery and stuff like that. You don't have that in Demons, so they're not like taking 1 million damage on the way in, and so they're not going to have multiple units at below starting strength, because if you've engaged something, you're trying to kill it because you don't want it to swing back on you. It's just like, it's such a badly considered ability. If it had not been nerfed, I think it would have been okay, where it's like an extra bonus if you don't kill them in melee. But the fact that demons just fucking lose if you don't kill your opponent on the charge is like, it's never gonna come in. It's just worthless. It's so bad. Whatever. It was never intended to be 2 tests? Okay. Despite that's... There's nothing in the ability that would not stack it with the standard battle shock. That's just the reading. If you read the ability, the words on the card, there's nothing that stops it from stacking with another battle shock test. Well, the other thing too, right, is that the Harkin's ability specifically says it doesn't stack, but all the other ones don't have that clause. So the implication is that the abilities that don't have that clause are intended to stack. The ones that do say they don't stack specifically are meant to work differently. I think it's like ludicrous that you would that was just like a mistake. They just fucked it up. Whatever. All right, chat. What else are we going to talk about? We've spent a lot of time on Chaos Demons today, mostly because I think they're cool. Big Chaos Demons energy. And Tau. We've randomly talked a lot about Tau. What else can we dive into that's really sweet? Here's some Space Wolves. I know people in the chat were looking at Space Wolves. So this is Travis Gray running a Gladius task force. We have a Jump Chaplain with Artificer, a Honor Vehement Captain for extra attacks, punch real good. I'm glad the captains are seeing a bunch of play now. Logan Grimnar, just on foot in Terminator armor plus Ragnar Blackbane, a Combi Weapon Lieutenant, and then 2 Assault Intercessor squads. Yeah, I said originally, Space Wolves have such good like supportive characters that I feel like Assault Intercessor is really good for them, because you get any of these characters wound rerolls when they're attacking someone on objective. And it's super duper good.
Sorry if I missed it, but did we cover X0 Knights?
I did talk about them in the video yesterday, but we can talk about them again, I guess, if you want. But yeah, unless I literally like miss it on when I'm putting my notes together. Anytime there's an undefeated list, I talk about it in the Monday video. I don't like to read it myself, but I will go through it if you would like to. We got 2 Impulsors to carry the Assault Intercessors around with. A Jump Pack Assault Intercessor squad. Whoa, the full 10 of them? Okay. Doing a million mortal wounds on the charge. Plus 2 units of Fenrisian Wolves. A bunch of Inceptors. 6 Inceptors. An Incursor squad. An Infiltrator squad. Triple Wolfen. Whoa. Whoa. I think it's a little funny. I saw some comments when Wolfen first got buffed. It might have been just in like chats in general. But it might have been on a video, I think, when I was talking about like how great Wolfen are now. And a lot of people were like, but they're OC0, like, and they're only AP1. Like, Wolfen suck. And now every successful Space Wolf list is running like 30 of them. I'm like, what's that? What's going on there? Can somebody tell me about that? Yeah, I mean, I think that just for the points value, 160 points for that profile, even if they're only AP1. But you're playing him Gladius Task Force, so you can make him AP2 if you want. Even if they're only AP1. Oh man, is that spice? That's a spice meatball right there. The interesting inclusion for me here is the Incursors, because we have unironically an Incursor squad. They only benefit ranged attacks, right? Am I crazy about that? And they're the only ranged unit in this army is like Inceptors. I'm gonna double check that I'm right about that, because I think that's just how I assume that they work. Incursors. Survey says, oh, it's all attacks. Oh my god. Hold up. Wait. Wait a minute. Incursors affect all hit rolls, not just ranged attacks? Was that always how that worked? Am I just some big moron? Am I just a big stupid idiot guy? That's really good. Wait, what? Are we like RTFCing right on stream right now? I think maybe I was like equating them with Tech Marines, right? Because Tech Marines, they're also only range attacks, right? Or at least they used to be. That's how they worked last edition. I can't find the old Incursor data sheet. Oh no, I just found it. All right, ask and you shall receive. Yeah, no, it's all attacks. Oh my god, chat. I have not given Incursors their due. Holy shit. Oh, it's end of phase. You're right, chat. I misread. All right. Okay. Well, I feel vindicated that I wasn't an insane person. All right. So I'm curious about these Incursors. I guess they buffed the Wolfen, right? Because the Wolfen actually have guns. But they're like ballistic skill 5 because they don't know how to use them. They just gave them guns, but they were like, I don't know, man. But they have like a D3 shot blast weapon, if I remember correctly. Where's the Wolfen data sheet? Trying to uncover this this like arcane technology. All right, here we go. Yeah, they're ballistic scale 5. Oh, D6 shots. Oh my god. That's so many. So if you're like blasting once, you're shooting 10 D6 plus 10. Okay. And then you can give them +1 to hit with this little like unit of idiots. That's scout move also. Scout moving is good, but if that's all you needed, you would take Space Marine scouts. Okay. That's actually kind of all right. Sick. The tactical sundown, yeah. Just, who am I? Who are you? What is this little thing? Am I supposed to be looking at that? Well, that's kind of cute. I like that a lot. So it's the big Inceptor squad and it's the Wolfen, and you get the benefits there. I like that. Yeah. Well, that's fun. What a fun list. 30 Wolfen, chat. Let's go. Wolfen need a leader that gives him OC. Yeah. That'd be good. Like I don't know what the lore justification would be. Like who's the dude who does that? Maybe a character guy, so you only get 1 unit of it. I don't know. I don't know if it's too strong or anything. All right, we wanted to talk about Imperial Knights. Is that big beef beat down? The biggest and beefiest of beady downies. Oop. Just knocked my microphone. Sorry, everyone at home. Yeah, so this list is, I don't know, it's relatively straightforward. It's Canis Rex, double Knight Atropos. One of them's got the Uppy Downy enhancement. Helverin, 2 Warglaves, plus a Calidus Eversor and some guys to score objectives. The Atropos is like sort of a wild monster. He's a big weirdo. In a nice way though, because he's really good, I think. So here's what I missed on stream the other day. Here's the problem: is it when I was looking at the thing, it didn't say but this was a bondsman ability. So it just said like, it says when a model is affected by this ability. I didn't read that part. That keys you in to whether this is a bondsman, but it not necessarily like doesn't actually call it out specifically. But that was the problem. So I mistook this as affecting Atropos himself, but he doesn't do that. He just gets +1 to hit, potentially +1 to wound, which to be fair, with a floating reroll on top, is probably fine. But yeah, he can give reroll to hits to and wounds to the little guys, which I guess is nice, but it's kind of whatever. I wish it was monsters or vehicles, but it is what it is. But then his weapon profiles are super nutty. And again, he gets +1 to hit against monsters and vehicles. So he's a lot of the times getting the hit bonus on these. He gets both the Las Cutter and the Singularity Cannon. So D6 +1 devastating, strength 16, AP 4 gunshots. And then also, so it's like high value, low volume. So it's really good with the floating rerolls now. And then you also get D6 sustained 1, 4 damage shots if within 24 inches, and then you also get that again in melee because that's also his melee profile, which is cool, right? He's using his laser beam to zap you, and then he's also getting that benefit as well in melee too. So he's probably hitting on 2s if he's punching stuff. So yeah, they're like faster than the regular like Crusader chassis, the Questoris class knights. They have more wounds and a baked in invulnerable save all the time, not just against ranged attacks. So he's got a lot of benefits over the Questoris stuff. The downside, obviously, is that he's really expensive compared to the other knights, but still pretty good. And then Canis Rex, because Canis Rex rules. And that's the list. That's it. The laser multi-tool. Yeah, Nurgle indeed. Run Wolfen in a Space Force detachment, unlock Saga of Majesty. We've done it, boys! Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. Lehman Russ should give Wolfen +1 OC. Imagine if Lehman Russ, and like, he's finally released. Everyone's psyched about it. They're like, oh, guys, the next Primarch's coming out. It's great. And then you get the data sheet, and he's a leader for Wolfen. Like, Roboot Gilliman and the Lion over here are like getting lone operative from infantry, and they're just like independent, like big beat sticks. And Lehman Russ is like only good if you attach him to a Wolfen squad. And you're like, what? What is this? The cries from the Space Force community would be deafening. Canis Flex. Indeed. All right, chat. What else do we want to talk about? We are going a little bit late, so we'll talk about some last couple of lists, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you joined Thunderwolf, he'd get a 10-inch move. He'd probably have a 10-inch move anyway. He'd also be Wolf and have no OC. Oh my god. What if he's really good as an independent character, but he has no OC? What if he only joins Wolfen and his leadership ability is +1 OC to the unit? So he's only has an OC value when he's joined. That would be funny. Thoughts on a 3x Maliceptor? It's very good. One of the only ways to play Tyranids competitively, in my opinion. At least in like a singles format. There's other stuff you can do when you play them in teams, because you can play like weird skews, but I think it's probably one of the most effective Tyranid archetypes is like triple Maliceptor. Was there a double Dorn guard list at Clutch City? There was a guard list. It was one Dorn. That's the only one that I see X and 1 anyway. It's the Wienermobile. Deathcore Marshal, some Gonsko, some Lord Solar action, little platoon command squad, plus a Primera Psyker. This one actually, man after my own heart over here. I believe he has the Torox Prime combo, which I love. Although he's not all in. He doesn't have the Tempestus command squad, which makes me sad. We have 2 Deathcore Krieg. Looks like a 20-man. Oof. Plus a Tenor. Plus a Chimera. Bulgrin to go into Chimera. And then a big Bulgrin, or 2 big Bulgrin squads to be separate. We have Ignore Cover with a Hellhound. Limerus Exterminator for +1 AP. A Punisher. So like you can kind of like combo these 3 things together to like absolutely rinse infantry, right? Because the Punisher shoots 1 billion times, and then you can give it +1 AP and Ignore Cover. So you're actually punching through armor with that thing. And then 1 Rogel Dorn and a Tempestus Scion squad. So I guess it's not the actual Wombo combo. I think we're actually comboing the Primera Psyker onto the big Deathcore squad to give it a 4+ invulnerable save. So they have the 4+, and then they are their med pack gives them the feel no pain. And then the Marshal does something. I actually have no idea what that dude does. I'd have to look him up. Oh, 1 out. Oh, he gives him like your once per game insane bravery. That one's actually not that exciting. Although he gives him a 5+ fatal pain. Yeah, so you're a 4+ invuln, 5+ feel no pain theoretically, which is like an unironically hard profile to get through. And then their med pack returns dudes to the backs of the unit. Yeah, so they have all of that, and then you're regenerating them as the game goes on too. And then you could make you could order them for +1 OC as well. So that's kind of sick. So I think the downside of Militarum right now is that or traditionally has been that they're really good at killing you, but they're really bad at standing on objectives. And so this list is trying as hard as it can to put as much stuff on the table that can hold on to the objectives. So we have the Bullgrin, which are all super tough to kill. We've talked about Bullgrin a million times before. They have damage reduction and a feel no pain baked in. And then we also have this big unit of idiots. So if you have high volume stuff that's good at killing these guys, or especially like 2 damage stuff or whatever, the Bullgrin can tank that. And then high impact stuff that kills them, you want to tank on these guys because these guys basically don't care about that at all. You're like, a last cannon's going to kill one dude, and then 50% of the time. And then he's just going to regenerate. Seems good. That was on the War Games live stream, and the Rogodor and drop turn 1 against Marines. Marine player played the mine wrong. Played it like it goes off before tank shock. Oh yeah. Like inside of a charge, yeah, there's no timing that would make that work. Because it's at the start of any round, right? I guess I just had Incursors up. Space Marines, you have too many things. I'll just wait patiently for this to load. Yeah, start of any phase. So you could do it, yeah, you could do it post-tank shock, but there's no way you do it pre-tank shock. Right. But tank shock resolves at the end of the charging unit's charge. So I think the implication is that the tank charged, and then before the tank shock resolved, they did the haywire mine, but that's not how that works. Unless the Incursor starts within 3 inches of the vehicle before it charges, and then they could resolve it before it charges, and then before the tank shock goes off. But it doesn't sound like that's what happened. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that's a weird one. I mean, obviously, there's like weird timings in this game, as we noted by literally the other ability on the datasheet, where it expires. You can theoretically like use it at any phase, but it expires end of shooting phase. I guess the way so you can get Incursors to give you +1 to hit, right? If you have a Death Company Dreadnought or Murder Fang, and then you trigger a reactive fire from someone, and then they let you fight. That would be the one way for Incursors to give you +1 to hit in melee. And that's why, they thought about that interaction, and that's why it doesn't say when you make an attack with a ranged weapon or when you make a ranged attack. That's why it affects any attack, because they wanted you to execute a sick combo with a Death Company Dreadnought to get +1 to hit on your melee attacks. on your reactions to their reactive ranged attacks. That's it. That's why it works like that. How does Drukhari not fix their weakness of not being able to stand on primary? You just fucking play transports, dude. You're playing the transport faction. Just play transports. Also, they have like everything locks objectives in that, because everything has anything with 5 Cabalite warriors in it locks objectives. No, it does. That's how it works, chat. If you shoot them with incursors, right? Trigger the incursor effect on the enemy unit that's within 4 inches of a Death Company Dreadnought. Then you shoot at a unit with reactive shooting. The reactive fire shot shoots back at the Death Company Dreadnought. You can then trigger the Dreadnought to fight their unit and get +1 to hit. That's all in the shooting phase. I don't know what to tell you. That just works. Right? Unless the Death Company Dreadnought, it's out of phase for them. But I think they're anytime. I don't think they care about phases. Because they can do it like when you do weird stuff to them. And that's why they made the Incursors effects melee attacks. That's the reason. They knew that that was going to come up. And they were like, just in case. Just in case that you need +1 to hit on your reactive attack with your Death Company Dreadnought. Yeah, Dreadnought is each time an enemy target. Yeah, you can respond to like Overwatches and shit with that guy. Ah, what a Chad. Imagine declaring a charge of the Death Company Dreadnought. Your opponent's like, I'll shoot you, and then you get to like pile in, fight, consolidate, and like you kill a unit and get closer to your opponent. And you're like, my charge is 4 inches now. Although if you can't make it into melee, I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, but if you can get on an objective. So here's the tech, right? You strategic reserve a Death Company Dreadnought, but he's 3 inches away from an objective. Your opponent overwatches him. He declares a fight in response to the frenzy reprisal, and it just consolidates onto the objective and gets 3 inches closer. So someday it's gonna happen to someone, and they're gonna be like, "What?" And you're gonna be like, "I don't know." There we are. Murder Fang. The Murder Fang rule. What a silly goose you are. All right, chat. Well, I think that we can probably wrap things up there. So anyway, good talking to everybody. This is a fun week. A little bit, I don't know. There are lots of lists, lots of interesting stuff to talk about. I'm mostly excited the Chaos Demons are finally winning things. That's like makes me happy. But yeah. Anyway, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So I am glad that everybody came and talked with me on stream today. Thanks everybody who came and hung out with me over the weekend at 8TC. I again will be live with more live event coverage the week after this weekend, so that's going to be the 16th and 17th. Please mark your calendars for that one. And if you want to see when I'm live, !! calendar in chat, or you can find the link in the video description, and that is where all my live streams are. So that's super duper sweet. Hey, Westy 2024, thank you for the getting that sweet sponsorship. Tech Marine gives +1 to hit in melee as well. Okay. It's a little annoying because it's not what it did last edition, but I'll take your word for it. It's sure. Yeah, anyway. I will be live over the course of the week on the Twitchies, and I think I'm actually going to. I did not see Dune. No, Dune's on my roster. It's on my schedule right now. I think if you guys want the party to continue, I don't think I'm gonna be live immediately, but I think we might play some Helldivers over on the Purple channel. So if you want to come hang out with me a lot more, and we can talk about Tech Marines getting +1 to hit, then I think I'm gonna stream that tonight. So that should be kind of fun. I also have some games scheduled over the course of the week, which should be good. I'm trying to get some more like kind of funny lists in. I was just talking about Tactical Marines. I'd like to get. I'm working on the list right now, so it'll be there eventually. But I'm trying to do a like a battle company list that gets like as close to a battle company as I can, which should be fun. And so I've got like lots of weird firstborn technology I'm working on. So yeah, anyway, that's what's going on over on that channel. But I'll see you over there. And thanks everyone for hanging out with me. So remember to keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming, and stay tuned for more sweet content. Goodbye, everybody.